All right, everybody. How are we doing today? Welcome back to another episode of the Robbie Basel Show. Hope everyone's having a great day. Hope everyone enjoyed the chaotic last weekend of sports. We had March Madness going down. It was awesome, but there's a couple of other sporting events and sports that we have to talk about because there's a lot of soccer qualifiers. The international break was in short, insanity, and I feel like it's something we need to talk about. So, we'll do that later. We're going to March Madness first. Before we go into March Madness and recap the first weekend, make sure to hit the like button down below, subscribe to the channel. Also, note Friday, I'm going to be on ESPN again doing a broadcast softball doubleheader. 12 high. Oh my God, make us do a promo. The first game is at noon. Second game 2:30 approximate start time. Make sure to check it out on ESPN Plus. It's Iona Manhattan softball. It's a rivalry. It's gonna be fun. I have my boards starting to get ready. This is only part of it because I'm still waiting for some stats from today's game with Iona softball. But we'll get you guys can check that out. So what's gonna happen on Friday is there's gonna be a pre-recorded video that I'm actually gonna record soon. That's gonna come out on Friday after the games end. So 5 o'clock is the approximate time that I think that I'm gonna do the video. I think it's gonna be about 5 o'clock. So make sure to check out the Robbie Basel Show Instagram so you don't miss out on what the video is going to be or what time the video will be coming out on Friday. Additionally, I will not be on Into the Stands tomorrow, so you will be able to hear from the two others from Into the Stands talk about the MLB season. That's what the video is going to be on Friday, is the MLB season preview video. So you get to hear Colin and Chris, along with some guests, tomorrow on Into the Stands, 5 o'clock Eastern, only on the WIUR Iona Gales radio network. So let us head into what happened in March Madness. And I'm going to share the screen so you guys can see. And by the way, we'll be sharing the screen for most of what we'll be talking about today. So let us dive right into it. And we have the March Madness bracket. So ladies and gentlemen, the road to Phoenix, Arizona continues. And we had some incredible matchups over the last couple of days. And what I'm going to do for you is briefly recap some of all what happened on the first two rounds. We're going to go region by region, and we'll tell you what to watch out for with the Sweet 16, including some picks for the Sweet 16. So let us begin. Let's go back to Thursday again. So recap of Thursday. We opened it up with Michigan State. They beat Mississippi State. Actually, no, scratch that. We're going to go region by region, like I said. So top left, we had UConn open it up with Stetson in Brooklyn. It was an absolute blowout. UConn was better everywhere than Stetson, but that's kind of what we were expecting and going into a game like that. This game was weird. It was Florida Atlantic, FAU taking on Northwestern. And FAU had both teams had chances to end it down the stretch. This game went to overtime. Northwestern won in overtime, outscoring the Owls 19-7 in overtime. And that was pretty much it. Northwestern went out to play UConn. We'll talk about that game in a moment. San Diego State played a nail-biter with the UAB Blazers. It was an awesome game. Got to catch the end of it. It was fun, back and forth all the way. But at the end of the day, this one went to the San Diego State as the Aztecs went out and won this one. Took care of business in Spokane. And then we have this one from Friday. Auburn and Yale. What a game this was. You know, you wouldn't expect a bunch of very smart people to go out and win a basketball game sometimes, but that's exactly what happened. Yale went out. Auburn missed key free throws down the stretch, had some very good chances towards the end of the game, but couldn't get it done. And Yale went out and advanced to the second round, where we will talk about what happened in that second round game in a moment. BYU played Duquesne. Duquesne, man, the Dukes. How about them Dukes? They went out and beat BYU 71-67. We had Illinois over Morehead State, Washington State narrowly over Drake, and Iowa State over South Dakota State. And then we go to the second round matchups. Beat UConn all over Northwestern. UConn didn't look like they needed to even sweat against this Northwestern team. They're going to face San Diego State, who like UConn, they were not worried at all. They were hitting every shot that you could think of very late on Sunday night. It was late, and they did not look like they could miss. They're hitting every three, every fadeaway jumper. It looked like all San Diego State, and that's what it was. 85-57 win for San Diego State. Duquesne, they just didn't have it against the Fighting Illini. Illinois took care of business. And then Iowa State and Washington State. Again, it was oddly close. A low-scoring affair in Omaha. And now we have our Sweet 16 set up for the top left. It's UConn, San Diego State, and Illinois against Iowa State. I think I had 3 of the 4 at least. But listen, we'll go over these 2 matchups and more when we come back to talk about the Sweet 16. Bottom left, we had North Carolina beat Wagner. We knew that was going to happen. We talked about Michigan State over Mississippi State. St. Mary's struggled and lost to Grand Canyon. I picked the wrong upset because Alabama put up 109 against Charleston. And Bama won. Then they played Grand Canyon, and Bama won again. UNC beat Michigan State, setting up Alabama and North Carolina at the top in Los Angeles, which will be very exciting to watch for. Bottom part of this region, we had Clemson really destroy my hopes and dreams. They beat New Mexico 77-56. In Memphis, I really had too much faith in New Mexico. I had too much faith in the 11 seeds, and that's a popular theme because I had all 4 11 seeds win, and they all, I mean, we got 3 of 4, so it was a good method. But listen, when you can't out-rebound this Clemson team, you can't outscore this team in crucial points. You have to pay the price, and Clemson's going to do it again. We'll talk about their second round game in a moment. Baylor beat Colgate, the toothpaste squad, a team that lost to Iona. They went out and got destroyed by Baylor, 92-67. They went on to face Clemson. Dayton, if you remember, with Nevada choking, Dayton clutched down the stretch with that big run towards the end. They beat Nevada, and Arizona beat Long Beach State. Clemson beat Baylor 72-64. Listen, they outplayed Baylor down the stretch again, and that's how Clemson went out and took care of business. And then Arizona, who beat Dayton by 10. Fair play to Dayton, though. When Arizona went out and scored, Dayton, for the majority of this game, had a response. They just went too cold in some important parts of the game, which set up the matchup that we have upcoming. North Carolina and Bama, Clemson and Arizona. Can't wait to see how those two play out in Los Angeles. In the South region, in Dallas, who will be going to Dallas? Houston beat Longwood. Shocker. Texas A&M played a very high-scoring matchup against Nebraska on Friday. Listen, this one was back and forth, but Texas A&M went on and got it done, which we will talk about this Texas A&M team in a moment. JMU went out and beat Wisconsin in a very popular upset pick, 72-61. And then we had Duke, who beat Vermont 64-47, making this Duke team look way better than it should because Duke did something very improbable upcoming. North Carolina State continues their magical run as they beat Texas Tech 80-67, advancing them to the next round. In Pittsburgh, we talked about Kentucky against Oakland. Oakland went out and won. And then we had my favorite game of the first round, Colorado and Florida. Let's talk about it. Florida, if you remember in the preview, we talked about my boy Walter Clayton Jr. He had 33 in this game, including some very big threes down the stretch. I mean, he tied it at 100 with like 5 seconds left, and then Colorado went out and scored. The buzzer beater, people thought it was controversial. I didn't agree with that because you got to let the moments like this play out. Colorado won. I mean, Florida lost because they couldn't defend for like half the game. So that's pretty much why Florida lost. Colorado, though, fair play to them. They got through as the 10th seed, and then they had to go out and play Marquette after Marquette struggled against that Western Kentucky team. So then the second round, we had Colorado lose to Marquette. Phenomenal game. Marquette got it done. They're destroying the narrative, a very popular theme this year as well. North Carolina State played a very frustrating game against Oakland. They got it done in the end, in overtime, 79-73. Listen, this team's awesome. I love this NC State team, man. And when you go out and you play a hard-fought game against, listen, Oakland put up a fight. Trey Townsend, 30 points. Jack Golke, who I don't like at all. It's a very unpopular opinion, by the way. He had 22 and 8 rebounds. He was chucking everything. But the big guy, of course, you got to talk about my boy DJ Burns. How I was so impressed with him. You DJ Horn, who struggled but still was able to put up big shots. Michael O'Connell, who, if you remember him, he was the one who hit that buzzer beater against Virginia. He had 12 points, 5 double-digit scores on the way for North Carolina State to advance to play Marquette in Dallas. In Brooklyn, Duke went out and took care of business against James Madison, 93-55. You would have expected a little bit more of a fight from JMU, but Duke got it done. They will be facing Houston, who blew it against Texas A&M and then decided to play basketball for for the entire overtime period. I mean, Houston was up a lot with about 2 minutes left, and then Texas A&M were just hitting shots. Houston couldn't hit free throws down the stretch, and then that sent our game to overtime after an incredible buzzer beater off an inbound with like 1.5 left, I believe is what it was, which was followed up by an overtime period dominated by Houston. Houston advances to the next round. They will be playing in the Sweet 16 against Duke, with North Carolina State against Marquette. In the bottom right portion of the bracket, and who will be heading to Detroit. Purdue destroying all narratives, who beat Grambling State by 28. Utah State beat TCU 88-72. Gonzaga beat McNeese, which broke my heart. Kansas beat Samford. We talked about that last time. No need to repeat ourselves again. Oregon beat South Carolina. Creighton beat Akron. Texas beat Colorado State in a very low-scoring affair. And Tennessee all over St. Peter's. We talked about most of these games on Friday. Oregon, South Carolina is the big upset, of course. But then the second round, narratives continued to be broken, particularly with our protagonist of the whole thing, Purdue, who I have winning it all. They went out and beat Utah State. They dominated Utah State from the get-go. It was not close. It was awesome to see Zach Edey go out and ball. I'm riding with this Purdue team all the way through the end. They were my national champions, and they went out and looked like a national championship contender against a semi-decent Utah State team. Gonzaga beat Kansas. This game wasn't close in the second half. Kansas had them in the first half, as they would say, but Gonzaga ultimately went out and won by 21 points. Kansas couldn't hit a shot for for a good portion of the second half, and Gonzaga went out and won. They advanced to the Sweet 16. It just feels like inevitable that they're getting there at this point. Oregon, who sold this so hard. I felt so bad for Oregon. They deserve to win this. But Creighton was not as gassed down the stretch. This game went to overtime. I was trying to watch F1 and this at the same time. There's a very crucial moment in the F1 race that we have to talk about right when this game went to overtime. And Creighton won because they had fresher legs. They got kind of lucky. They are going to face Tennessee, who barely got it done against the Longhorns. So bottom right, we have Purdue, Gonzaga, and Creighton, Tennessee. Now let's see what matchups. What is my favorite matchup of this round? I really like Houston and Duke. They actually kind of match up very well together. Purdue, Gonzaga, I really like too. My predictions rest of the way. I have UConn beating San Diego State. I have Iowa State over Illinois. We have North Carolina over Bama. Of course, Arizona over Clemson. I have Tennessee beating Creighton, which is not a popular pick at all. But Creighton, I think, really couldn't defend Oregon very well until the very end when Oregon got gassed. I'm going to go with Tennessee. I have Purdue beating Gonzaga because Purdue is just inevitable. Purdue is going to make it to the Final Four along with Arizona and UConn, as I predicted in this channel. This is where it gets weird because I didn't expect Marquette to be here. The one flaw in this Marquette team is that they can get really streaky and go really cold down the stretch. We saw that those cold periods against Western Kentucky. We saw those cold periods against Colorado. North Carolina State really doesn't do that often. I'm picking Marquette, but I don't really want to because North Carolina State just feels like the big name upset team this year. I mean, they're the only double-digit seed still in the damn thing. Houston and Duke match up very well. I'm picking Houston. Houston's going to face Marquette, where I have Houston going through. Final four teams are Houston, Purdue, Arizona, not North Carolina, UConn. UConn goes to the final against Purdue, and I have Purdue still winning the national championship. That is my projected bracket for the rest of the way. And that is our first sport done for the day. Now, you probably saw my top browsers. Why do you have so much soccer stuff up? Because I completely forgot about it, what was going on in the footballing world this week. Now, we're not going to show like the visuals for everything, but we probably should for most of this. We have the CONCACAF Nations League, which was going on, the Nations League, and it was won in the final by the United States. We talked about their struggles against Jamaica, and they really didn't show that against a good Jamaican team. Well, against a solid Mexico team. I still think that Mexico team is pretty decent. But at the end of the day, it's like, well, now what? Because the United States went out and beat Mexico. What happens now for Mexico? They did not look good against the United States. Watch this game back. The United States looked better. Tyler Adams had that absolute banger of a goal, and the U.S. got a second. They won 2-0. They deserved to win 2-0, and they went out and took care of business where they needed to, and they won their third consecutive CONCACAF Nations League. They're the only team to win the Nations League. Were there flaws in this year's Nations League? Yeah, there was. The U.S. didn't play a group stage match. I don't believe they had played a group stage match. But what we saw was this Mexico team may need to go undergo a rebuild, and they need to do it quickly because the World Cup's in 2 years. Speaking of the World Cup, we now get to go into World Cup qualifying. So let me share my screen again and show you our first World Cup qualifier for CONCACAF. I just got to make sure I'm going into the right screen. Here we go. So, welcome to CONCACAF World Cup qualifying. First round is some of the worst teams in the world. We know we have Anguilla against Turks and Caicos, and then we had the Battle of the Virgin Islands between the U.S. and British Virgin Islands. We're not going to talk about those games because I don't think anyone here cares about it. Yes, I am looking at Wikipedia. It's actually the best thing to make sure I have all my information in front of me. Second round, which we didn't get to talk about yet. It is 6 groups, so we have all of these groups, and the top 2 advance to the third round, where they will go into another giant group stage, and the winners of the groups. We'll talk about that more, how you can advance to the World Cup. Let's break down some of these groups. Group A, Honduras, Antigua and Barbuda, Cuba, Bermuda, and the Cayman Islands. This is Honduras' group to lose. They're not losing a game, I don't think. The only team I could think I could really throw up a fight is Cuba. Bermuda and the Cayman Islands are not good. Antigua and Barbuda, I haven't really heard much from them recently, or much good things about them recently. I mean, we could look at what pot they were in. That would be fun to look at. Antigua and Barbuda were actually the pot 2 teams, so see, this was the draw. I didn't agree with half the pots, which is shocking. Like, you have to explain to me how the Dominican, who are a team to watch out for, didn't get pot 2, yet Antigua and Barbuda did. It doesn't make any sense. But once again, this is CONCACAF. Nothing makes sense. I'm going to go with Honduras and Cuba to go out of this group. I don't know. I haven't seen enough of Antigua and Barbuda to be really convinced that they can make moves in this group. Group B, Costa Rica, Trinidad, St. Kitts, Grenada, and Bahamas. St. Kitts drew San Marino this week. They're not going through. This is Costa Rica and Trinidad's to lose. Grenada can maybe do something. Bahamas is the worst team in the group that didn't have to go through that early qualifying phase. They're going to get 0 points, though they do play in one of the more... This is a group that has some of the most beautiful scenes in the world, or in CONCACAF at least. But I'm going to go with Costa Rica and Trinidad. They should have no problems. Group C, Haiti, Curacao, St. Lucia, Barbados, and Aruba. Another beautiful looking group. Two of the three ABC islands are in the same group, which should be very fun. I love Curacao. They are a team to watch out for. Haiti are going undergoing. I don't know what like the political situation is over there, but Haiti is their national team at least is pretty decent. They are better than you think. I am too in love with this Curacao team. They haven't really done anything as of late, but I really think they can make a move. I'm going to have Curacao than Haiti. Barbados and St. Lucia can maybe make a move, but I don't see it happening in Aruba. The less said about them, the better. Group D, and this is where the fun begins. Panama, Nicaragua, Guyana, Montserrat, and Belize. Now, Montserrat, they're a very interesting story. They have their the amount of people there is about the size of a large American high school, and like the more as we go more towards the south. Montserrat's not very big, but they do have actually an okay national team. I just don't see them getting past Panama and Nicaragua. Panama could slip because they know how to lose to bad teams, but I just don't see it happening. Nicaragua can maybe slip up as well, but Panama's ability to not sell completely in the early stages of World Cup qualifying as of late, I'm backing Panama, and then I would probably say Nicaragua. Montserrat, though, I'm very intrigued to see how Montserrat plays. That's what I'm watching out for. And then Belize, I don't know. I just don't know. I mean, like I said, I don't know. I mean, what else do you want me to say? By the way, for the format, they are going to be playing, from what I remember, like let's look at the schedule for one of these teams. Let's look at Panama. We were going to look at Panama, and we're going to look at their results of fixtures. I believe it's 4 games total. 4 games. Yeah, so we have World Cup qualifying in June. Panama plays Guyana, then Montserrat. I want to watch Montserrat, Panama. I don't know why. And then in June of next year, we have the other 2 matches. So the opening stages of this World Cup qualifying campaign are going to be underway soon. This is where the fun begins. For real this time. Jamaica, Guatemala, the Dominican Republic, Dominica, and the winner of one of the playoffs. Now, whoever wins the playoff, I'll be shocked if they get a point. The dark horse here is the Dominican Republic, a young national team. Their under 23s are playing in the Olympics. They are a team to watch out for as a dark horse to beat Guatemala. Jamaica is winning this group. That's not a doubt. I'm struggling between Guatemala and the Dominican. If the Dominican Republic was in a group like Group B, Group C, excuse me, I would have put them over the Haitians. But I can't do it in this situation because Guatemala, we saw what they did in the CONCACAF Gold Cup. They were a good team. The Dominican are just too inexperienced. Maybe maybe they can make the Gold Cup. I think they can actually be a decent team in the Gold Cup, but right now I'm just not buying it. I'm going to go with Jamaica and Guatemala as my early prediction, but watch out for the Dominican Republic. I think they can make some noise. Finally, we have Group F, El Salvador, Suriname, Puerto Rico, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines. And then the other playoff winner. This is El Salvador's group to lose as well. Same with Suriname. Puerto Rico's not bad, but they're not good. St. Vincent's is like the same way for a Pot 4 team. And Pot 5, you're not expecting really anything. So I have El Salvador and Suriname to make it out. Group A, like I said, was Honduras and Cuba. Group B, I had Costa Rica, Trinidad. Group C, I had Haiti, Curacao, then Haiti. Group D, I had Panama and Nicaragua. Group E, Jamaica, Guatemala. Watch out for the Dominican. And Group F, I have El Salvador, Suriname. And if you go to the third round, you have to win your group to go to the World Cup. So there's going to be 3 groups of 4. They will play it in 2025 and early 2026. That's just a preview of what to watch out for with CONCACAF World Cup qualification. It's going to be fun. We'll talk about it more in June. But we have another qualifying series to talk about. We're actually going to go correctly this time with alphabetical order. And we are going to go over to Asia. And we are going to talk about Asian World Cup qualification, which today has been insanity. So, let's look at some of this. So, some of this won't be updated, which is kind of annoying. But, actually, no, let me fix this. So, Asian World Cup qualifying. is insanity. And oh, we do have some updated results. So hopefully this will actually work. But we will see. So, 2026. How does this work? We talked about the first round originally. You already know who's in the first round. Of course, you talk about Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Singapore, Yemen, Myanmar, Pakistan, Chinese Taipei, Indonesia, Hong Kong, and Nepal. We already talked about them. How did the groups go? We start in Group A, which was insanity. We had Qatar, who have won 4-4, obviously. They beat Kuwait. The shocker here is Afghanistan, and it's going to be Afghanistan, so it's not. India is actually decent. The worry is Afghanistan's actually playing competent, way more competent than I thought they were going to. Let's look at this game. Afghanistan went out and beat India after drawing India last week. And this game was, you really don't have much information on it. We don't have a stat sheet. But Afghanistan went out and won 2-1. A late penalty by Muhammad, got 3 points for Afghanistan. They've gotten all 4 points in their last 2 matches. The issue is they play Qatar next, and that game's going to be in June. They do have to play Kuwait again, which gives Afghanistan some hope, but India, I don't think, can really blow this. There is a chance that they can blow it, though. And I'll be very intrigued to see how this goes. Group B, Japan, Syria, North Korea, and Myanmar. Syria today went out and beat Myanmar 7-0 after drawing Myanmar somehow. Yes, you heard me right. Myanmar drew Syria. The funny part is that North Korea canceled the match against Japan after Japan beat North Korea in the first match. Well, to be fair, though, Japan only won 1-0. And they dominated the match, but they only scored in the second minute and did nothing afterwards. So now we have a canceled game with North Korea and Japan, which I don't know if they're going to reschedule it, which could hurt Japan in the long run. Now Japan actually could hurt North Korea in the long run, but I didn't expect them to get through to the next round. Anyway, Japan and Syria taking care of business in Group B. Group C is where the intrigue is on because we have our boy South Korea doing South Korean things. They opened it up in this group with the World Cup qualifying ages ago, back in November 2023. You know, they beat Singapore, they beat China. This one, though, they drew Thailand, which I don't know how to feel about that. But then they beat Thailand 3-0 away. So big win for South Korea. They've only allowed 1 goal, as you can see on your screen. We'll scroll down a little bit more to help you out here. But as you can see, goals allowed 1 for South Korea, which that goal was in the first Thailand game in the 1-1 draw with Thailand. China, who have actually played competitive football for the first time in what feels like an eternity for them. A country that's that big went out and drew Singapore and then beat Singapore. So China, with the next window, they open it with Thailand in June. That will be a winner take all for the next round of World Cup qualifying. Thailand, who need to win that match, and then need to beat Singapore in order to have a chance, because China is not beating South Korea. So if Thailand went out, China loses to Thailand, then Thailand has a chance. But I don't know how much of a chance they do have, because China is actually looking better than they have as of late. This is insanity. Group D is led by Kyrgyzstan, because the Republic of... Is it the Kyrgyzstan Republic? I don't even know what it is. Kyrgyzstan, who started off horribly, losing to Malaysia, and then beat Oman, questioning Oman's legitimacy again, but then Kyrgyzstan beat Chinese Taipei twice to soar up the table and into first place on goals for. They are ahead of Oman, who this Oman team has looked better as of late, and then we have Malaysia. Chinese Taipei, who are already done. Kyrgyzstan don't have the pleasure of playing Chinese Taipei again, but they do have to play a couple of difficult matches, particularly Oman away. What could really settle this group is if Kyrgyzstan beats Malaysia in early June, because if that happens, this group's pretty much done, because Oman has to play Chinese Taipei, and we know how that game is going to go. If Kyrgyzstan beat Malaysia, this group is essentially over. I would not be sleeping on that Malaysian team, though. They have got some okay results so far. I mean, Malaysia, if we take a look at what they've done, I mean, they beat the group leaders. They were leading at the end of match day 2. The last time we talked about this back in November. But then they played Oman. They lost 2-0 twice, and now are falling back to the pack. That game in June will decide it all. Kyrgyzstan, Malaysia will decide this entire group. If Malaysia wins, it's all for the taking. This group's already done with Group E. Iran and Uzbekistan taking care of business. Turkmenistan and Hong Kong have done nothing other than draw. Didn't they draw each other? I honestly don't know. The only draw, Uzbekistan drew Iran. Turkmenistan drew Hong Kong. So the team from the Central Asian steppes went out and drew Hong Kong. And they have 1 point, and they deserve to. I mean, they haven't played good. Both teams have allowed 11 goals in 4 games. They've combined scored 5, which is only half of what Uzbekistan has done. No surprise here. Iran and Uzbekistan are through to the World Cup qualifying 3rd round. And congrats on them making the Asian Cup, by the way. They qualified for Asian Cup. Group F, I just want to make sure how many groups I've left. I believe we have 4 groups left. Group F, we have Iraq, Indonesia, Vietnam, and the Philippines. The Philippines have gotten destroyed. I mean, they scored 1 goal in 4 games. Iraq, though, the Iraqis have actually played surprisingly well. I say surprising because they barely beat Vietnam in the end of the last window, and you know they choked it to Jordan in the Asian Cup, so I didn't know what was going to happen. But Iran beat the Philippines 1-0, and then they beat the Philippines 5-0. Iraq's through. Congratulations on making the Asian Cup again. But they also make it to the next round World Cup qualifying. The shocker here is that Vietnam has done absolutely nothing. They opened it up by beating the Philippines, losing to Iraq, and then lost to Indonesia twice. They have essentially took themselves out of it. They need to win out and have Indonesia not beat the Philippines. Well, I mean, correction. Yeah, essentially they need that to happen because Indonesia plays Iraq, Vietnam plays the Philippines in early June, and then we have the other 2 matches. So Vietnam are on the ropes, all because they struggled against teams like Indonesia, and they couldn't get it done at home against the Iraqis. So Vietnam not in a good spot. A team that made the final round of World Cup qualifying last time in the struggle bus. This group is awesome. Sorry to Pakistan. Negative 19 goal difference is something. But this group is so much fun. We have Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and our protagonists from the Asian Cup in Tajikistan. Now, Tajikistan have helped themselves out a lot. We'll talk about them in a moment. Jordan beat Pakistan 3-0, then 7-0, which has got Jordan. All but one of their goals have been against Pakistan. But now, I mean, Tajikistan drew Jordan, and Tajikistan drew Saudi Arabia and then they drew and lost to Saudi Arabia. I got my matches confused. Tajikistan's only win in the group stage was a 6-1 over Pakistan. This group will be decided in early June as well because Tajikistan has to play Jordan in Jordan. I believe that's where this game is going to be. It doesn't even mention it. So, I mean, it's an away day for Tajikistan. Tajikistan has a chance, and I love it. They deserve to go back to the Asian Cup because I don't want them to go through qualifying again because our protagonists deserve to be in the Asian Cup again. But listen, Tajikistan, they still have a long road to go. They have to beat Jordan. If they draw Jordan, I still think they have a solid chance. They just need to beat Tajikistan. They need to beat Pakistan by like 6 again. And I don't think they want to do that. Saudi Arabia, a team that already qualified for the Asian Cup as they are the hosts. We'll see how Jordan and Tajikistan play out in June. Group H, the UAE have actually done stuff. Same with Bahrain. The only loss for Bahrain was against the UAE. Nepal have not scored a goal. And Yemen have scored only 3. This group's pretty self-explanatory. The UAE deserve to be here. They qualified. Bahrain, who are probably going to qualify early in the next window. They play Yemen next. They should be able to beat Yemen and then make it through to the next round. A draw will also put Bahrain through. Finally, we have Group I, which is Australia, Palestine, Lebanon, and Bangladesh. Lebanon drew Bangladesh, which questions how legit this team actually was. Back way earlier in this group, Lebanon opened it up by drawing Palestine and Bangladesh. They followed that by getting absolutely annihilated by Australia. Congratulations to Australia for making it through to the next round of World Cup qualifying and the Asian Cup. Congratulations. Lebanon have dug themselves a giant hole, but they can find a way to miraculously escape it if Palestine lose out. I don't see it happening. Palestine play Lebanon, and then Lebanon plays Bangladesh, so it's possible. But they are playing. This Palestinian team has played way over their expectations. And I do see them probably making it out in June, but it's a wait and see. Really disappointed in Lebanon. 1 goal in 4 matches. You have the same amount of goals as Bangladesh. And your only goal was against each other. That's insane. Absolute insanity between the Bengal Tigers and Lebanon. But listen, a lot of disappointments. But we are pretty much heading into our next topic of the day, which was Euros qualifiers. Now, we do have 2 matches in progress, but one of them is about to be concluded, and one of them will be probably going to extra time. So let us take our time and break down what has happened. And these are, let's scroll down to the, actually, no, we're not going to show the bracket because we already know what happened. We know about our other protagonists in Kazakhstan and Luxembourg who got killed in the last round. We talked about Israel. We lost Bosnia, Finland, and Estonia. We had Georgia, who did pretty much nothing. They did get a red card with a person not on the field. It was 0-0. This game really sucked. I did get to watch the first half. It was not good. 0.85 XG to a penalty shootout. And Georgia at home in a place I'm going to try and pronounce. Let's give it a crack here. Tbilisi. Close enough. Georgia is going to the Euros for the first time in their history. Fair play to Georgia. They had a weird route, and they barely got through. To be fair, though, their qualifying their path to qualify, I don't remember being easy either. So, at the end of the day, this is still some pretty impressive from Georgia. Let's look at this Georgian team, what they have done recently. You know they were in the group with Spain and Scotland, which makes this even more impressive. They are going to be drawn. That's their Nations League group. We will not have to talk about the Nations League today. So, yeah, I mean, Georgia went out and did their job. They're going to be going to the Euros. Congratulations to Georgia. They are moving on. Another team that's likely going to go through is Ukraine. They're going to be going through. They are currently finishing up, and it just went full-time. It's Ukraine 2, Iceland 1. Ukraine is going to Euro 2024. Fair play to Ukraine, man. I was really wanting this team to win. They were probably the best team, or one of the better teams in this whole entire qualifiers of this round of qualifying, and they went out and beat a solid Iceland team who really outplayed my expectations for them. They went out and qualified as well. And then we have Wales and Poland, who are playing right now, are in progress still. So we will talk about these groups. We don't know who's going to be there, but we will just show you the groups now anyway. Here are the Euro groups. We have Group A with Germany, Scotland, Hungary, and Switzerland with all of these matches. This, by the way, will be in June. We will be doing a full video on this. I'm just showing you the groups now, not making any predictions, because I'm letting you guys know that I am doing a video. Might have a guest, don't know yet. Breaking down the entire Euros tournament and giving my full predictions for the Euros this year. Spain, Croatia, Italy, Albania. We knew about this already. Slovenia, Denmark, Serbia, England for Group C, with matches starting on the 16th. We have the first playoff winner, which I believe was this the one with Wales? I think this was the one with Wales. I know League C was Georgia. Yes. So let me just look at this. And while I am searching this up on my iPad, so you guys don't have to watch me type this in again, make sure to hit the like button down below and subscribe. Just make sure. I want to make sure you guys are all subscribed because we are on the road to 50 subscribers. It is. I mean, I just want you guys to make sure you guys don't miss out on any of the videos. So the playoffs. League Path A is the one with our boys from Wales or Poland who have not finished yet. They would be playing Netherlands, Austria, and France. You already know who I'm backing in that. Group E, which will be Belgium, Slovakia, Romania, and Ukraine. What a fun group that's going to be. Slovakia, Ukraine for second place, or maybe even first if Belgium blows it again. Will be fun. Don't sleep on Romania either. And Group F, which is Turkey, Georgia, Portugal, and Czechia. Watch out for Georgia against Portugal and Turkey and Czechia too. That will all be very, very exciting. We'll be previewing that whole competition later on as we get closer to the Euros. Just checking my topic list, making sure I haven't missed anything up to this point. We talked about March Madness. We're not talking about the transfer portal. Shout out to the guy who committed to Iona recently, guys. So shout out to this dude. I guess gotta find him on Instagram real quick. So his name is, I gotta make sure, it's Adam Nije. I think that's how you say it. 4-star prospect from Cardinal Hayes, signed, committed to Iona. Really cool moment. Highest ranked point guard in the history of the program. Highest ranked recruit in the last decade. I don't know how Tobin's done it, but we've done it. So he's one of the few recruits that Iona has gotten so far. Interested to see what how it will be looking going forward for the Gales. We have also some NFL news before we go into our F1 race. We had L'Jarius Sneed get traded to the Titans for basically nothing. Good move for the Titans. I still don't get why they're trying to contend, but they're trying to contend. They're trying to do things. I'll just talk about this briefly. It's a good move. Only trading a third and a seventh is a good get, and they signed him to a long-term deal, and the Titans went out and have their corner for the future. Good for them. And now time for Formula One. We had our race in Australia, all the way down under. It was a fun race. Let's explain what happened. Max essentially DNF'd on lap 2. When his brakes overheated. You saw, if you were watching the race, there was like a mini explosion while he was driving down the pit lane. The back brake basically caught on fire. It was insanity. Sainz won the race, followed by Leclerc, Norris, Piastri, Perez making up the top 5. 2 Haases got points. Haas is weird. It felt like Haas was sandbagging a little bit. We knew about their dumb tactics from last time. But this is different. 2 drivers from Haas in the points. We saw a double Mercedes DNF because we had Hamilton with the mechanical failure, and then Russell crash, and then that led to an Alonso penalty. I know people are not liking it. I still think it should be a penalty because Alonso reported the issue right at. I don't know. I'm very still mixed on that one. Double points for Aston Martin. They were in 6th and 7th. Yuki Tsunoda getting the points for RB. Williams with Alex Albon. This is karma for them for not putting in Sargent. Sargent, I don't think would have done better, but they still got 0 points and benched one of their drivers. Ricardo went 12th. Gasly 13th. Bottas, Joe, Esteban Ocon finished the 16 that finished the race. A very interesting moment with Kick Sauber after their continually failed pit stops and their brakes overheating as well. So there's a lot of smoke coming from the cars throughout the race. Our next race will be in Japan, which we'll be talking about soon. Also pretty soon, next week, I believe we get to talk about the Masters tournament, guys. So we will be doing golf next week. Or no, sorry, couple weeks. I have no sense of time. 2 weeks, we'll talk about golf because we like golf here. And we don't only talk about some main sports. We talk about a variety of things on this channel because, once again, why not? And that will be the end of today's episode of the Robbie Basel Show. Thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, some couple of reminders for you guys. Tomorrow, I will not be on Into the Stands. It'll be Colin and Chris and company. They, with 2 guests, they will be breaking down the whole show. So they'll be doing MLB season predictions tomorrow. I'm excited to see what they have to hear. I will be on ESPN on air on Friday. Make sure to check that out on ESPN Plus. Iona Manhattan softball doubleheader should be a good time. Next video, MLB season preview. Apologies for the delay, but this video had to come out first because of all the stuff that happened this week. Make sure to check out Friday's video. We talked about the preview for March Madness, a bunch of soccer news, and more. Make sure you guys check. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. On that note, I'm Robbie Basel saying so long, good night. I'll see you guys Friday. Goodbye, everyone.